William Thomas Brett, Sonar Technician, second class. I wanted to get in electronics. You know, I thought maybe electronics technician or a radarman or some rate like that. And the interviewer at the time, I figured whatever school they're going to offer me, I'm going to take. So he offered me, well, what about sonar technician? Because my hearing was real good. And I said yes at the time. I said, you know, whatever they're going to offer me, I'm going to take. So that's what I took. I ended up going to sonar school right after boot camp. After boot camp, I went to Sonar A school in Key West, Florida. And when I was in A school, I extended 2 years for A2 school, which was more electronics. And I also, at the same time, signed up for a C school, which I repaired and worked on the underwater battery, which was part of the sonar equipment for firing. We had hedgehogs and torpedo tubes. So and I worked on the computer, that the electrical mechanical analog computer that I worked on or specialized in repair of. First ship I was assigned to was the USS Norris, DD 859, out of Newport, Rhode Island. Well, that, you know, I knew that was going to be home for at least almost the next 4 years. Well, I basically worked up in, you know, the sonar control and UV plot, what they called it. And that's where the computer was for the, you know, gathering all the information, all the data when you were tracking a submarine. And they put it all together and you were going to make a sonar attack. All that information was there in the computer and it would come out with a result. In other words, you have to go into so many yards. Like sonar used to, when we had a good contact and you were actually during wartime, you'd be, sonar would actually take control of the ship from the bridge, and we'd take the ship in to about 900 yards of wherever the target was, and we'd either fire hedgehogs or we'd fire torpedoes at the target. And a torpedo was called a bloodhound. So, and the division officer, whoever it was, would say bloodhound away, and he'd had a little trigger where he pulled, and you know the torpedo would be fired and would make a sharp right, and you know, go away from the target, and would give control back to the bridge at that time. A hedgehog is a projectile that has the ammunitions is up in the top of it, and it's covered with like a plastic cone. And we had a trainable hedgehog mount that had 24 hedgehogs on it. You could fire all 24, or you could just leave some off and make a different pattern, but they would fire off in a circular pattern, and it was a trainable mount, so you could fire at any direction. And it would go out about 300 yards, and they'd drop into the ocean. And after 50 feet going down, the plastic, well, when it first hit the water, the plastic cone would split off of them. And then there was like a little propeller there. And that propeller, when it turned 7 times, the hedgehog was fused then. And any tilt of 30 degrees or any impact of anything, it would blow up. And all 24 were like that, you know, and that's the way the hedgehog worked, and that's what it looked like. It looked like a little miniature missile, you know, about the size of a 5.5-inch shell, gun shell, but smaller. Now, if it hit the target right, like we were after basically submarines, if it hit the target right, it would blow it up. I mean, it had a pretty good charge in it.